All right, in this video, I'm gonna discuss the most underrated supplement for fat loss. Now, the fat loss supplement industry is huge, and there's a reason why I will never create and market a fat loss supplement. The reason is really twofold. So there's two things that fat loss supplements basically do. One of two things or two of two things. One, it's designed to suppress your appetite. Now, the problem with suppressing your appetite is really twofold. If you completely suppress your appetite, then you don't get enough calories and protein to really maintain muscle. And so then you end up losing weight, but you lose a lot of muscle and you don't really look that good. But secondly, and this is really what happens, is if appetite suppressants were that powerful, no one would be fat, everyone would just take them and be lean. The problem is that they work for a couple weeks and then they don't work. They work for a little bit and then they stop working, your body adapts and your appetite ramps up. Secondly, fat loss supplements are designed to help increase your metabolic rate, but the difference that they do, it's very marginal. It's not gonna help you burn an extra 300, 400, 500 calories. It might be an extra 50 calories. In fact, the sign of a higher metabolic rate is simply the signs of exercise. You're out of breath, you're sweating. That's how you know you're burning a lot of calories. So if you're just chilling, you're not burning that much. Your fat burning supplement is not doing a lot. In fact, probably the best thing to do is just black coffee. Black coffee does the best job possible of blunting appetite, and caffeine helps increase energy a little bit. I don't like to go too high in caffeine, about 300 milligrams per day max, as well as sparkling water helps blunt the appetite. So I find that fat loss supplements are pretty much useless, and everything comes down to the calorie deficit. If you are in a calorie deficit, you will get leaner. Now, what the framing should be with fat loss supplements is really helping you preserve muscle in a calorie deficit. That's the angle that you want, because the key to having an incredible transformation, if you look at my before and afters, what people are doing is they're leaning down, but they're retaining all of their muscle, and that's what makes them look chiseled. Most people that lose weight, they lose some weight and they just kind of look like skinnier, smaller versions of themselves. They don't get that definition, that hard, that proportionate look. And so this is a supplement I find works the absolute best. Maybe if you got 20% body fat, you don't need it yet, but when you're cutting to a low body fat, you're cutting below 12%, this is what I find helps really preserve muscle protein, trigger protein synthesis, and actually help you retain muscle when you're cutting. So this is actually one of the most misunderstood supplements in the market. In fact, most of the fitness industry think that this supplement is actually useless because they don't understand where it really shines. And that is essential amino acids. Now, if you're eating a high calorie diet, you're getting lots and lots of protein, you don't care about getting lean, yeah, it might not help you that much. It's not gonna do that much. If your protein levels are completely adequate and your calories are completely adequate, it's not gonna help you that much. Where it shines is when the goal is to get very lean, there is that higher risk of breaking down muscle. The leaner you get, the less fat you have to lose, the more your body wants to shift fuel metabolism into breaking down muscle. Because the less fat you have, the closer you are to starvation. Men have about 3% essential body fat. So as you get closer to that 3%, as you get to 12, to 10, to 9, if you just lose 100% body fat, well then your body is eventually gonna die. It's gonna cease to exist. So as you get closer, there's that higher risk of sacrificing muscle tissue. And for every pound of muscle you lose, that's a pound of body fat you do not lose. So most people, they lose 10 pounds of fat. A lot of times if they did a DEXA scan, they did 2 DEXA scans, they'd see that they lost 6 pounds of fat and 4 pounds of lean body mass. And that's not what's gonna make you look very good. So what I do when I'm cutting, and I've tested doing this without it, and I've tested with it, and the difference is night and day. When I'm cutting, I will do about 12 grams of EAAs every single day. 3 hours into my fast or before my workout, I will take essential amino acids. And what I find is which is really cool, is it's blunting my hunger. Because I'm feeding my body with the key aminos for muscle growth and I'm preventing protein breakdown, it's actually creating a hunger blunting signal. So I find that if I'm hungry during a fast, if I take EAAs, sure, it's gonna be 50 calories, sure, it's gonna spike my insulin, but it's basically preventing protein breakdown, triggering protein synthesis, and therefore my body's in a better position to actually mobilize and burn fat by helping preserve muscle protein. There's also some research that having pre-workout protein before you train, actually increases your metabolism. So the calories you get actually is beneficial because now your metabolic rate is higher for the rest of the day. So I find that taking EAAs every day, fasted or before you train, even on non-training days, is one of the best insurance policies you can take to prevent protein breakdown and to help preserve as much muscle as possible. And again, I've tested this myself and I see a night and day difference. I recommend, if everything's going amazing, you have no issues, don't worry about it. But if you have that point where you find that it's harder to maintain strength, you're feeling stuck, you're getting lean, you feel like you're kind of getting a bit smaller, add it in. Take it every day, and I find it's a very good insurance policy. Now, the reason I've shifted from branched chain amino acids to all 9 essential amino acids, which includes the 3 branch chain and the other 6 essential, is because there's some evidence that shows that there's a rate limiting factor with leucine, where to get the best possible absorption, you really need all 9. Whereas if you're only getting 3, you're not getting the same absorption of leucine. And again, if you were someone that has a massive steak dinner at night with broccoli and fats, well, you're gonna get an absorption of EAAs for the next 10, 12, 14 hours. So it might not even be that important. That said, the evidence seems to show EAAs are generally more effective. Now, what I've done with our amino supplement, which we've been sold out of this for about 3 months, we're back in stock. What I've done is I added in HMB, and HMB is a metabolite of leucine, and it's actually a stronger anti-catabolic agent. So it helps really preserve muscle protein. And this is the goal. If the goal is fat loss, the calorie deficit is gonna make sure you lose weight. Now, what's gonna help you retain muscle is really getting in all 9 of those essential amino acids. Now, you would have to actually eat about 400, 500, 600 calories of animal protein to get the same amount of EAAs that are inside Kino aminos, plus you wouldn't even get that high of a dose of HMB. And you'd have to take about 4 times the calories of whey protein to get the same amount of EAAs that you're getting in this, 4 times the amount of calories. So this is the most efficient form when your goals get hyper lean. I find this blunts hunger, which is really, really good when you're trying to stay in that small little deficit. As well, it helps prevent protein breakdown, triggers protein synthesis, and I'm able to retain strength and muscle a lot better. And so here's the difference. If I'm starting at 182, okay? If I'm starting at 182, I want to get chiseled and shredded at 174, 175. But if I'm not retaining as much muscle, then I start having to get down to the 172s, 171, 170s, and then I don't look quite as full. And then people watch my videos, they say I look skinny. I've gotten a DEXA scan at 6.1% body fat, and I feel good. My neck is still thick. One of the signs that you're getting skinny is that the neck gets kind of smaller. And finally, most EAAs on the market, there's 2 issues I find. Their EAA dose, because they want to actually have as much profit as possible, their EAA dose is actually 4 or 5 grams per serving. This is 12 grams per serving. So our margins on this are actually quite low. This is not a profit generator. This is something I just find very, very effective for those of you that want to get chiseled. I take this. This is actually one of my favorites for getting shredded. I take the EAAs. So that is the benefit of Kino aminos. And also, we're using stevia, so we're not doing any artificial sweeteners. I'm not 1,000% against artificial sweeteners, but I prefer not to take them. It can affect your gut microbiome, so I prefer to stay away from artificial sweeteners. I do the stevia, and I love this supplement. It's black cherry, it tastes amazing. So if you wanna try the EAAs and you care about getting very lean, then check them out. If you just care about getting reasonably lean, or you're not worried about getting chiseled, you do not need it. But I find for getting to a low body fat, so helpful.